favor. All right, we got some beachfront estate in Cleveland. Former Oklahoma teammates Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield face off as the Cardinals, undefeated, the only undefeated team in the NFL, visiting the Browns. Spencer Whipple calling the plays with Murray due to Cliff Kingsbury being out with COVID early second, picking up right where they left off. Cardinals 3rd and goal. Murray finding DeAndre Hopkins. Birds 14-0 lead. 3 seconds remaining in the second now. Cardinals lead 23-7. Browns 2nd and 4 at their own 43. Mayfield escaping the pressure and just yeets it to the end zone. The Cardinals were in attendance, so the prayer was answered. Pass caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones. Browns trailed 23-14 at the break. We're in the third quarter now. Under 7 minutes to go in the third. Browns 2nd and 13 at the Cardinals 45. Mayfield scrambles and is sacked by J.J. Watt. Fumbles the ball. Recovered by Devon Kennard. Mayfield, though, down with a shoulder injury and heads into the injury tent, but would return to the game. Next Cardinals possession, 2nd and goal at the 9. Murray throws it to Hopkins in the back of the end zone for the score. Just too good. Cardinals take a 30-14 lead as we enter the fourth. Mayfield back in the red zone. 4th and 4 at the 7. Gotta have it. Pass incomplete, though, to Odell Beckham Jr. Take another look at this play as Kareem Hunt grabs his cap and goes down. Remember, the Browns already didn't have Nick Chubb, so this right here, devastating as Hunt leaves the field and gets carted into the locker room. Next Cardinals possession, 2nd and 17 at their 23. Murray's pass incomplete to Hopkins, but a roughing the passer penalty called. And Bill, you say what? That's kind of iffy there. Barely gets touched by Malik Jackson. Cardinals in the red zone, 20 for 30. He was cooking like Ramsey, but efficient like Dave as the Cardinals get the win. Baker, postgame.
Feels like
Worse than the first time?
probably. You know what? I'm going to get MRIs and stuff tomorrow, so we'll be able to find out more.
Do you have a sense if you'll be able to keep playing through this, Baker?
I do.
You will be able to keep playing through it?
Yes.
Is it, I mean, maybe you don't know yet, but is it the same, like a re-aggravation of the injury? Is it something new?
I mean, it dislocated again and then slipped out again on a non-contact play, so just got to figure out a way to get better.
Yeah, as promised, Tim Hasselback right back with us, and it's no secret because Baker pretty much admitted it. Fortunately for him, it's the non-throwing shoulder, but definitely something wrong. He went back into the game, but had a couple turnovers. So based off the tape that you saw, how is this affecting his game?
Well, listen, I think it's bothering him. There's no doubt about it. I think what he said there is really interesting. The fact that, you know, on this play where J.J. Watt hits him, I think that's where he dislocates his shoulder. Now, we already know that he's got a torn labrum in his left shoulder. That's probably been bothering him. But then he mentions that it also comes out, and that looks pretty brutal right there. He also mentions that it comes out again on a non-contact play. So, he's going to get an MRI. But the reality is, if your shoulder is sliding in and out, I don't care if they harness it. I think that's something to be concerned about going forward. He's talking about, hey, I'm going to play through it. But if you're constantly having to slide your shoulder back in, there can be, longer term effects of that. I think the Browns could be in a situation where Baker's future this season ends up being in jeopardy.
Wow, that's huge. And then, of course, everybody's been young with the bravado because he was asked after the game, well, will you be available? And maybe if he had a week to get ready, but they're hosting the Broncos in 4 nights on Thursday Night Football. Is this just the adrenaline speaking?
Well, yeah, that's probably the adrenaline speaking. You also have to consider today, both tackles were out today. Mm-hmm. Didn't play with Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt gets injured late in that football game. This is a banged-up Cleveland team on a short week heading into Thursday night.
All right, the Browns lose at home. The Cardinals remain the lone undefeated team in the NFL. Tim Hasselback, thanks so much.
It didn't look like your offense had any issues without Coach Cliff Kingsbury. But tell me, what have the last 48 hours been like for this team?
It's been a lot of focus. It's been a lot of guys taking accountability in their own game and what they do. Cliff got us prepared earlier in the week. Basically, the game plan was in. We just had to go out and execute.
Now, I know that Cliff is a guy who preaches a 1-0 mentality.
Yep.
He doesn't want you focusing on the record. But you guys are still the last undefeated team in the league. What does that say about how good this team is?
It says a lot. It says a lot about the decisions made up top to bring guys in. You got to give credit to Steve Kern for putting this team together. A lot of athletes on this team, a lot of playmakers on this team Kyler, I think it speaks a lot about him, his mentality, taking the next step and leading us to where we are now.
Speaking of Kyler, you've been with him since last year. So, what has the growth been like? How have you seen him get better in this role as quarterback?
He's always been the most athletic guy on the field. That's not a question. I would say his growth has been off the field, communicating with us outside of this football field and building a real chemistry with us.
Last question. Up next, your old team, the Houston Texans, come to Arizona. What's it going to be like to face your former club?
It's just another game for us. That's my old team. I got a lot of friends on that team. I'm looking forward to seeing. But our mentality is 1-0, and those guys are next.
All right, so Arizona 6-0, only remaining unbeaten in the NFL. Second best start in the Super Bowl era for the Cardinals, behind the 1974 season when they won their first 7 games. Arizona hosts the Texans next week for a chance to get to 7-0. Great to be joined in studio here by Tim Hasselbeck, and from the home studio, accomplished concert pianist Damian Woody with us here.
It's true. He can play.
One of these days, I'm going to play a tune. One of these days.
Going to blow us all away, Dan. We look forward to that. Tim, let's start with you here. Lots going to be made about Kyler Murray, the 4 touchdown passes, and that was a big part. Mm-hmm. But boy, that Arizona defense spent like the whole day in the backfield.
Yeah, they were excellent. And I think that's one of the things as we talk about Arizona, and we obviously, with how they've started, are going to talk more and more about them. And we're going to give all the credit to Kyler Murray and how exciting they are on offense. But they're a complete football team, and they were living in the backfield. Now, in fairness to the Cleveland Browns, look, they're playing backups at both tackles because of injury, Wills and Conklin. That being said, I mean, it was tough sledding from the jump, and, because of the fact that they are good offensively and the ability to play with a lead oftentimes, you just see, the effort. And in reading lips here, Kevin, saying, you can't block me. Look, that was the case. That really was the case. And so, I think going back to, I guess it would have been last week, kind of an ugly win. This week, a pretty impressive win, on the road. I think there's a lot to like about Arizona, and it goes well beyond what they're doing on offense.
And they've been awfully aggressive. Again, they acquire Zach Ertz here in the midweek trade from Philadelphia. So, Dane, the Cardinals remain undefeated, and the Browns dropped to 500. And Tim pointed out some pretty serious flaws there in that offense.
Yeah, listen, obviously you talked about the two starting tackles being out, Nick Chubb being hurt. So that definitely played a big factor into what the Browns like to do best. The Browns are a run-first team. And with Nick Chubb and 2 of the key calls on the offensive line being out, that's not conducive for how the Cleveland Browns want to win football games. And obviously we saw with Baker Mayfield, there were some key drops by wide receivers. But when you lose part of your identity, that really hurts your Browns, the Browns offense.
So Cleveland drops to 3-3 in a year that some people felt they might be Super Bowl contenders, still may be, but 500 on the year, and the Cardinals just keep on keeping on. After the game, Baker Mayfield spoke about dropping to 3-3 on the year, and we're going to get that here in just a bit. So the Browns drop back to 500, and the Cardinals move to 6-0. And why don't we take a listen in to Baker Mayfield?
First off, how are you feeling with your arm's in a sling? How bad is it?
Feels like shit.
Worse than the first time?
Probably. I'm going to get MRIs and stuff tomorrow, so we'll be able to find out more.
Do you have a sense if you'll be able to keep playing through this, Baker?
I do.
You will be able to keep playing through it?
Yes.
Is it, I mean, maybe you don't know yet, but is it the same, like a re-aggravation of the injury? Is it something new?
It dislocated again and then slipped out again on a non-contact play, so just got to figure out a way to get better.
Baker, you're hard on yourself after turnovers, so what happened today on the 2 fumbles and the pick?
Yeah, the first fumble, just that, the saying, dead man zone, you're scrambling around, just got to find out where those extra guys are. I wanted to get the ball downfield to Odell. On a scramble drill, he was open, and just that extra half second of trying to make a play. just got to take care of it. The pick was just a bad throw. Just threw it where he was and instead of where he was going to be. So just a bad throw, and then the last one, just hold on to the ball.
How big was that Hail Mary at the end as far as the confidence boost going into halftime? Because it was a rough first half.
Yeah.
But you did end it down 9.
Yeah, I mean, taking some momentum into halftime. We just, defense came out, got a stop. We just weren't able to score at the beginning of that third quarter to, truly change that game. It was just one of those days. We couldn't get things going. They had a good plan for us, and they got punched in the mouth.
Baker, with Odell, did you expect him to come back in when he went out?
At first I didn't really know. I could tell he got up kind of gingerly and went in at halftime, asked him how he was doing, and he's like, I'm coming back in. So he's tough. So he wants to be in there playing and helping us out.
Baker is banged up as you guys are, as banged up as you are. Short.
Right, certainly our apologies for the beginning of that soundbite, the raw honesty there from Baker Mayfield. But you could see, Tim, he's got his arms in a sling there. Kareem Hunt left the game with an injury. A bad recipe in a short week. I mean, they host Denver on Thursday. I mean, what kind of a shape do you think that offense is going to be in on a short week?
I'd be super concerned, especially with what he's talking about happened to a shoulder, saying non-contact shoulder slips out, and then he's saying slid out another time. So, look, if you're a quarterback and you've dislocated your shoulder twice in a game, one of them on a non-contact situation, I think you have to be really concerned about, can you continue to do this? He was asked the question, can you play? Is this something you can play through? The reality is, if it keeps sliding in and out, he can't keep playing. And, you can try to harness it, you can try to, do whatever, but at some point you maybe have to look at shutting him down, see if he can get better, or potentially ending a season.
The backup is Case Keenum in Cleveland, and again, for a team that's built to win right now, that's big news in the NFL to keep an eye on. The injury to Baker Mayfield, and again, the short week here. They host Denver on Thursday. Speaking